Hello and welcome to Mac Retrospective. I've got something really cool for you guys today. We're going to be looking at a big chunk of Apple history. We're going to be taking a look at 7 different versions of Mac OS X 10, from 10.0 to 10.6. Let's get into it. Okay, so here we have Mac OS X 10.0. This is the operating system that introduced the world to the new Apple. The new Apple with a good Unix-based operating system that is still used to this day, just new iterations. So this is the version that would have to tell people why it was such a big deal. And I noticed they start us off with just a box with a big letter X on it. That's not going to sell me on it, to be perfectly honest, but it does feel kind of minimalistic like later Apple packaging would be, but not quite. The X very much is in like the style of the computers of the time. Like even if you look at the back, you got a lot of translucence and a lot of curves because it shows the monitor with it working on it, which looks nice, I guess. You do have this flap that opens up to show you how it works. I do know that some of the features were retroactively put into like OS 9, so I'm guessing it didn't look as impressive, but it's still pretty impressive. It's interesting they got that it's Unix based right on the cover. That's pretty cool. Introducing Aqua, your new desktop. I like when they give their desktops names like that. You know, you had Aqua, famously Windows Vista, I guess, or Arrow. I mean, let's see what we get inside. Oh, there's just a little like ripped off piece of paper with an Apple logo sticker on it. That's kind of weird. I'm guessing there was like a second one and someone ripped it off and took the one. That's pretty funny. Let's see. We have OS X 10 in CD and OS X 10. Mac OS 9. So you got 9 in the box as well, or is this the 9 upgrade? No, it's just Mac OS 9. Interesting. I suppose since there was so much software for 9 and, you know, like System 7 and 8 stuff that wasn't compatible at all, it was good to have the backup. Let's see. Welcome to Mac OS X. I like that the manual here is in full color. That's really helpful. Teaches you how to use your icons at the bottom. It's very nice, and it shows all the nice different backgrounds and stuff. That's a pretty good manual, I have to say. Apple Care Software Service and Support Guide. Great. Important. Apple software. Proof of purchase coupons. Software coupon. What are those for? I'm so confused. Software coupons? Let me read this. To get Mac OS updates and other special offers from Apple Computer, you'll need the coupons below as proof that you have Oh, so you have to bring one of these coupons in to get your firmware updates. That's kind of weird. I suppose nowadays you can just download updates, but I get it. So you don't have people saying, yeah, I got that, give me the new version of macOS. Alright, that's everything in this box. Let's find out more about Mac OS X 10.0. The original Mac operating system was released in 1984, along with the first Mac systems. It was not branded macOS until 1986, at which point the first version became known as Classic macOS. Some subsequent versions were better than others, but when 10.0 was released in 2001, it had found its place. Mac OS X 10.0, or Cheetah, was released as part of the strategy of Apple to steer away from their failings of the 90s. Cheetah was a much-needed change. It was not a revision of OS 9. It was all new code and was the first implementation of the Darwin Unix-like code. This means that OS X 10 had many similarities to Unix, but was not actually certified as a Unix system. Strangely, the system requirements for Cheetah recommended 128 megabytes of RAM. Most Macs at the time only came to 64 megabytes. Cheetah had loads of new features, including protected memory mode, a terminal for configuring advanced operating system features, OpenGL support, and a new user interface called Aqua UI. It also included applications such as Mail, Address Book, Text Edit, and PDF support. The now familiar dock was also a new feature with OS X. While Cheetah was a significant step up from OS 9, it still suffered from stability problems, hardware compatibility issues, and laggy UI performance. Here we have Mac OS X 10.1. You'll notice it's a much smaller box than previously. It's not even a box. I don't even know why I'm saying that. It's like a little pamphlet. It's clearly a more minor revision, but let's see what we get inside. Admittedly, I do like how compact it is. I do notice it's basically the same exact cover art as before, just with a 10.1 sticker on it. That's kind of lazy. Okay. Here we have our disc. Very nice. In its nice little protective sleeve. And on the other side of the folder is everything we care about. We have, welcome to Mac OS X. Is it the same guide or did they actually update it? I'm not gonna stick around enough to find out, to be honest. I think it is different though, just by the look of some of the screenshots. Apple Computer, blah, blah, blah. That is a very big licensing agreement. Now we just pretend like we read them online. That's it. It's so small, compact, simple. Let's find out more about it. Released just 6 months after the previous version, in September 2001, 10.1 or Puma was a smaller revision than most. It was offered as a free upgrade for OS X users and retailed at $129.99 as an upgrade from OS 9. An exploit was discovered with the free upgrade version that made the disk a full install version by deleting a single file. This allowed crafty OS 9 users to upgrade for free. 10.1 added DVD playback support, easier CD and DVD burning, and many minor improvements to the OS, while featuring better performance and lower system requirements. So, comments about Mac OS X 10.2 Jaguar. This box went on a wild tangent. You'll notice that the X has gotten a little bit of a makeover. Not only is it now Jaguar print, which I suppose makes sense, even though I think it looks pretty ugly, to be perfectly honest. I noticed they also have like this reflective bit here on the bottom. I don't know why, but they do. Also, this is its original price sticker on it, $72 for this. Here's our flap this time. Talking about the features. It's pretty basic. To be honest, what's shown on it. Yeah, your QuickTime, that's great. Very important. Back of the box looks exactly the same as the front. Very lazy, very lazy. And yeah. Oh, I missed this. Look at that. Look at the spine. Wow. animal print stuff is ugly. I don't even know why they bothered. Oh, it's a white box this time. It's also a lot thinner cardboard with bubble wrap. Okay. All of our software is still sealed. We'll get to that in a second. We have more of the software coupons. I wonder what what are they called? Geniuses at the Apple store would say if you brought one of those in now. That'd be really funny. Here is Apple Care stuff. Fat license agreement. Our start guide did get a makeover. Oh, a big makeover. That is drastically different looking than the previous one. I like it. It's very clean. And then oh, it's over here. It's on the other side. Let's see what we have inside. Makes me wonder, are they still going to have the OS 9 disc? Probably not. But you never know. That feels like there's 2 discs in there. There are? What's in behind? Oh, it's just, it comes on 2 discs now. That was less exciting than I thought it would be. Well, now you get double the Jaguar print. And OS X 10 developer tools. That's neat. And that's everything in the box. So let's find out about this very Jaguar version of macOS. macOS X 10.2, or Jaguar, released in August 2002, was the first version of OS X to use its Big Cat codename as part of its branding. It's one of the best received versions of OS X at release, which isn't surprising given how many upgrades and new features it offered. It introduced embedded search and finder, MPEG-4 support, Inkwell handwriting recognition, universal access, which was Apple's response to Windows accessibility features, all while running better and more stable. Jaguar was such a large upgrade that Apple decided not to offer it as a free upgrade to 10.0 or 10.1 users. Instead, they would have to pay $129.99 for a license like everyone else. You know, despite the fact that the box for OS 10.3, also known as Panther, is from 2003, I honestly didn't think that when I first saw this. This very much reminds me of like the box for the original iPhone, which wouldn't come out for 4 years after this. So it very much is an on-brand box for Apple, which is really funny considering what they had just before this. Animal print, really? I much prefer this clean design with a very nice X. It's reflective, and then you get, this is the same format as last time. That's kind of boring. You can at least switch it up a little, guys. Let's see what's inside. We have all of our software. We'll get to that in a moment. Welcome to Panther. This guide's in a completely different form factor than the last one. Kind of weird that they'd use that entire form factor once. And I see these software coupons are now redesigned. They're not the same as the previous ones. Apple Computer License Guide. It's somehow bigger than it was last time. Panther 10.3 Installation and Setup Guide. Very nice. And Apple Care Service and Support Guide. Hooray. It's got pictures this time, that's nice. And let's see what we get for discs. Let's say it's Panther, install disk 1, install disk 2, install disk 3, there's 3 this time, and tools. What does that say? Unfortunately, I couldn't read it because the envelope was in the way. Xcode tools. Ah, okay. So I know this isn't going to like make much sense. I don't know how well it's going to come across on camera for you guys, but this right here really bugs me. This envelope for part 1 is different than the other two. This has like a really glossy cover on the envelope, and these ones are like very glazed, I guess would be the word. I don't know, it just bugs me. Attention to detail is supposed to be your strong suit, Apple. All right, let's find out more about Panther. OS X 10.3, or Panther, was another major update to the OS. Released in 2003, it featured some major UI changes. Video chats in iChat, Xcode developer tools, better support for cooperating with Microsoft Windows, and the introduction of Apple's very own web browser, Safari, replacing Internet Explorer, which had previously been licensed in macOS. Here we have 10.4, Tiger. What, you didn't want to go with a tiger print on this box? I will say, I'm kind of disappointed because this is almost exactly the same box as last time, which I find weird using the same box. I mean, the X I think is a little thicker, but other than that, it would be really hard if they're both on store shelves to tell them apart. We do have the original price sticker on this one, $129.99. I like specifically that it specifies on the sticker that it's for Mac. Of course it is. Okay, back is exactly the same. Nothing interesting on the sides, no Jaguar print. And let's see what we get. Welcome to Tiger. Looks very similar to the last manual. Installation and setup guide. That's got black and white photos on it, and a little bit of color, but mostly black and white. I'll move that out of the way because it's getting in my way. We have our support coupons that we get 4 of them, and again, a completely different design. .Mac. Okay. Cool. I don't know what to say about that. Apple Computer, wow. Look how thick this license agreement is. That's ridiculous. And Apple Care stuff. No photo, well, you got photos, I guess, but a lot less pretty than the last one. Okay. All right, let's move on and find out more about Tiger. Guess who forgot to look at the CDs? Hold on a moment. We have 1 disc for Tiger on DVD, and we've got this iWork CD in its own separate cardboard sleeve. It's very yellow. It's kind of off-brand for Apple. It should be all monochrome and boring. That's how Apple always is. That's kind of interesting. I've never used iWork. I hardly know what that is. Tell me down below, I guess, if you've ever used it. All right, now let's move on and find out more about Tiger. Released in April 2005, OS X 10.4, or Tiger, was an upgrade that had to balance the changing tide at Apple. While it offered vast improvements for 64-bit PowerPC computing, it was also designed to be the first of many versions of OS X to support Intel processors. It was also used as the base for the original Apple TV's interface. Tiger sold nearly 2 million copies in its first 6 weeks. New features include VoiceOver, a screen reader interface for visually impaired users, a built-in dictionary and thesaurus integrated into the OS, Automator, a utility for creating automatic workflows in multiple applications, QuickTime 7, which featured H.264 encoding support, and much more. Next up, Leopard. Okay, so looking at all of the boxes before we started, everyone in the studio agreed that this box looks the best out of all of them. We very much like this box. It's got this really cool, like, hologram thing going on with the shine to it that makes it look 3D. That's really cool. I'm sure it'll come across somewhat on camera, but it does look better in person with the big black X. You'll notice a much smaller form factor for the box. And you got screenshots on the back, and each one of them also has that 3D bubble shine to them. It looks pretty nice. Maybe you guys will be able to see it a little better once I get the covering off. Yeah, there we go. Broke the seal. All right, it does have a sticker on it saying it's 10.5.4. It is actually on here. I thought it would just be on the outer plastic, but no, it's on the actual box. Just a little piece. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Nothing much about the sides or the bottom or the other sides or anything. Designed by Apple in California. I'm surprised that's the first time I've seen that on one of these boxes. Like, every time I've ever opened an iPod or an iPhone or anything like that, there it is. But here, I guess not till this version. Here's our disc. It's just a disc. I don't even know why I bothered pulling it out. Looks cool. How does this side open up? I have to figure out the puzzle. It's from the top. All of our manuals have quite considerably reduced. Oh, you get one Welcome to Leopard book and 2 Apple stickers. Hooray! Now we can stick them on our Windows laptops and trigger people. Let's find out more about Leopard. Apple says that over 300 changes were made to OS X between Tiger and Leopard. Leopard was the last version of OS X to support the PowerPC chip because all newer Macs were exclusively Intel based. Big changes were made to the desktop, the menu bar, the dock, and added the backup utility known as Time Machine. Leopard was originally intended to be released in late 2006, but was delayed until October 26, 2007, due to the development of the iPhone. It was available in 2 versions, the desktop version, which sold for $129 in the US, and the server version, which sold for $499. Leopard was a welcome change, primarily because of the long list of new features and improvements it included. These included Time Machine, Back to My Mac, which was designed to allow users of Mobile Me to access their computers remotely, Boot Camp, which is a bootloader for multiple operating systems that allowed even Windows XP Service Pack 2 or later to be installed on an Intel-based Mac, iCal, a group calendar sharing app, and countless revisions to other existing applications. And here we have our final version of Mac OS X to look at today, version 10.6, Snow Leopard. Feels kind of weird that they went from Leopard to Snow Leopard to me, but I don't get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars by Apple every year to decide what they name their operating systems after, so, you know, sucks to be me. It's weird because they were on the Big Cat thing for so long, and there are more names they could have used, but no, they switched to like the locations. You get your Yosemites and stuff, and your Sierras and High Sierras. Okay, I will say, going from Leopard to Snow Leopard, not nearly as bad as going from Sierra to High Sierra. Okay, we cool? All right, so here's our box. It is tiny, just like the last one, but instead of going for a black with shininess and everything, it's just matte, normal paper. but it's got a leopard on it, and they specifically found one covered in snow. That's really funny. Like, you need the snow on it in order to differentiate it, even though it's a, you know, different animal. It's just like, hey, just to really make sure people know. This one just opens at the top. The last one was a much better box than this. This is significantly cut down even from that box, which was already cut down. Designed by Apple in California. Of course, we know. It's just like a sleek. We get more stickers. I'll say my editor, who's also monitoring this as I'm recording it, pointed out to me that this does not look like there are stickers here. There are. We have just your blah, 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 blah. This manual's, oh, it's a folding manual. I hate these. These suck. No one ever goes, gee, I want to read through this by going like this. It's stupid. It's just a cost-cutting measure so they don't have to pay for staples. And we have a single DVD for it. This box, man, every time we do one of these history videos, like the Windows videos we previously did, which you should totally check out if you haven't done so yet, it makes me feel sad as the boxes get smaller and smaller and less cool. But yeah, I'll stop ranting. Let's learn a little bit more about Snow Leopard. OS X 10.6, or Snow Leopard, was released in June 2009. It was intended to be a refinement of Leopard, and Apple stated that it had 0 new features. It was available for download from Apple's website for $29, which made it initially much more popular than other OS X versions, and has remained popular to this day because it is the last version of OS X to support 32-bit Intel Core Solo and Core 2 Duo CPUs. The system requirements call for 1 GB of RAM and 5 GB of hard drive space, which makes it somewhat surprising that it has retained so much popularity based on support for older hardware. Well, that's it for this episode of Mac Retrospective. Be sure to be on the lookout for more great Mac videos coming soon. And if you haven't done so, check out the videos we did on Windows unboxings. Chances are, if you like these OSs, you like those ones. Gotta say, I'm gonna be perfectly honest, those ones came in cooler boxes. Sorry. And be sure to subscribe and comment down below letting us know what else you'd like us to see unbox, you know, Mac related, maybe some older versions before we hit OS X. And I'll see you guys next time.